Have you ever wondered what elderberry plants look like when they're starting the budding and the flowering and the berry process? Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you examples from our elderberry patch here at Bent Rose Farm in Pilot Point, Texas. Hi, I'm Emily Hamill, and this is one of our elderberry patches. This patch is about 2 to 3 years old. We are located far north of Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we're in the growing zone 8A. In today's video, I'm going to show you some real live examples of this year's soon-to-be harvest, and I will show a few pictures from last year since our plants are not yet to the berry season. I also want to note that if you look at the elderberry plants here, they are bushes, but they're not like a big, luscious bush. Instead, they're a plant that has a lot of different shoots that come off of the plant from the base. Let me zoom in a little bit and come down here to the base of the plant. And you can see how they all gather in the center, but they're all a bunch of different shoots that come together to make this elderberry bush. In our area, the elderberry plants begin to start the flowering process around late April and throughout the month of May. The very first stage is the budding stage. And that is when you're going to have a little cluster of leaves begin to form, which will later be your flowers and later be your berries. The budding stage, the flowering stage, your berries are all going to be at the top part of your shoots. They won't be low, they'll be at the very top. And on the shoots, as they mature, they can have multiple flowering clusters on one shoot. Here's an example of the budding on one of our current plants that we're selling. So this is a less than 1 year old plant. Here's where you can see it a little bit farther along in the budding process. This is an older plant, and as you can see, the budding process here is a little bit different than what the leaves look like on this plant. Here's an example of the budding process on one of our older plants, and you can see that these leaves are slightly different than what the leaves of the normal elderberry plant looks like. Here's another example of this. This is the budding process here at the very top that you can see. And here's another example of this budding process and what the actual leaves look like. As the plant continues to bud, that little section of the cluster of the little leaves are going to begin to open up, and then you're going to start seeing some like green balls, and it's going to get into a large cluster. This is what eventually will become your flowers. And if you look at this plant, you can see a lot of these green clusters of balls. And see here, they kind of are like a cauliflower shape, but they're green. And you can see that this one plant has multiple shoots with multiple clusters. Now, this cluster of these small green dots or balls, these will eventually turn into little white flowers. Now, since we're only at the beginning of May, ours haven't started the actual flowering process, so I don't have examples from this year, but I'm going to show you a few examples from previous years. There's a lot of people who would like to harvest the white flowers for different reasons. If you do harvest the white flowers, just know that you will not be getting berries from that cluster. Our plants usually begin the berrying process in July and in August. They will start off as small green berries, and as they mature, they will begin to turn into a reddish color and eventually turn into a deep, dark purple or blackish color. You do not want to harvest until the berries reach that deep, black, purplish color. Then they are ready to harvest. At Bent Rose Farm, we offer elderberry plants and berries, but they are a seasonal item, and they are also only available for local pickup in the Pilot Point area. If you're interested in any more questions about elderberries or about purchasing anything from our farm, please comment or send a message. Thank you. Bye.